128 people have been killed in the fire in Taipo. The ICAC arrested 2 people in connection with a maintenance work at Wanfo Court. And each family member of the deceased will receive a government condolence payment of $200,000. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Taipo's deadly fire has killed at least 128 people and injured 79. About 200 people are still missing. Rescue work continues as the blaze in all blocks at Wanfo Court has been brought under control. The Musingai reports.
The devastating fire at Taipo's Wanfo Court, which broke out on Wednesday afternoon, was largely put out on Friday morning. Flames reignited inside a unit at about 5 a.m. A plume of white smoke emerged from the high-rise building. The blaze lasted for an hour. Food and Environmental Hygiene Department members and paramedics went to move some bodies. A facility for the identification of bodies was organized at Wanfo Community Hall for family members to search for their loved ones. Many emerged emotional. Speaking to the media, the Fire Services Department said officers have broken up into more than 1,700 units at the 7 burned-out buildings, ensuring that no one was trapped. More than 100 people were pronounced dead at the scene. Secretary for Security Chris Tan said police may discover burned bodies when they start their investigation inside the buildings. Here at the platform of the Wanfo Estate Shopping Centre, which is opposite the fire scene, a constant flow of residents gathered and stared blankly at the burned-out buildings. Memos 9, TVB News.
At the Wanfo Court number 5 alarm fire claiming more than 100 lives. Preliminary lab tests confirmed that the building's scaffold netting have met fire retardant standards, so the styrofoam boards could have contributed to the fire. The exact cause of the blaze remains under investigation, with authorities looking to take law enforcement measures against contractors responsible for the fire alarm system, which failed to sound when the blaze erupted.
The city's deadliest blaze in some 70 years. Online video clips appear to capture the fire's initial outbreak, with authorities having confirmed that the flames started on the lower floors of Wang Chung House before setting ablaze the styrofoam boards that were used to seal the windows and are highly flammable. Secretary for Security Chris Tang says preliminary laboratory tests indicate while the scaffold netting met fire retardant requirements, it can still catch fire, same for the bamboo scaffolding. But he said it is likely the styrofoam board that fueled the spread of the blaze to multiple floors, as well as 6 other buildings across the estate. The styrofoam panels affixed to the windows also caused glass to shatter, allowing the blaze to rip through units inside the buildings. Another critical factor, possibly the fire alarm system did not work. The Fire Services Department flagged operational issues with the alarms in all 8 buildings. While the systems were not turned off, they failed to sound during the fire. Authorities will pursue enforcement measures against contractors responsible for the estate's fire alarm system.
We need time to get all the details. As I said, even some of the deceased cannot be fully identified yet. So I think at appropriate time when we get hold of all the information, and we are more than happy to release all the information that public is concerned. There's nothing government is unwilling to release.
Since the fire erupted, more than 2,000 firefighters and paramedics have been deployed.
The Independent Commission Against Corruption has arrested 2 people who are reportedly the heads of the consulting firm responsible for the maintenance work at Wanfo Court in Taipo. ICAC officers escorted one of the suspects to the office of Willpower Architects in Kowloon Bay this afternoon to search for evidence. He was then taken to ICAC headquarters in a private car for further investigation. Earlier, ICAC officers escorted another suspect to his office to search for evidence. The ICAC previously said it had established a special task force to conduct a full investigation into whether corruption was involved in the Wanfo Court maintenance work. The government announced that each family member of the deceased will receive a condolence payment of $200,000, with assistance offered to funeral arrangements. The government is also building an online platform to coordinate donations from the private sector.
Each family member of the deceased to receive $200,000 with help on the way in handling the funeral arrangements.
We hope that this is our to show our respect to the deceased and to help the family in need in this difficult moment.
The government will also provide cremation services and niches in public columbarium with other relevant funeral expenses being covered. With more than 1,000 families facing the loss of property, Chief Executive John Lee announced on Thursday that he will first disburse $10,000 in emergency cash. 78 households already received a handout on that day. As of 4 p.m., 1,200 households have registered for the funds, and the money will be distributed today and tomorrow. In addition, a living allowance of $15,000 will be distributed to each victim next week. As for the Taipo Wanfo Core Support Fund set up by the government, on top of the $300 million earmarked by the government, it received an extra donation of $500 million, with $800 million in funding so far. With a slew of companies or organizations having reached out to support the endeavors, a clothing brand donated 10,000 pieces of clothing, including warm jackets, thermal underwear, and socks. NTRC will distribute Octopus cards with stored value of $2,000 to affected residents. The total amount of donations from various corporations is nearing $1 billion by Friday afternoon. Some through registered charities, others handed over to the government for handling.
Community aid pours in as volunteers organize relief at Taipo disaster sites. Some young Taipo residents have launched a real-time safety check platform to help fire victims and their families to request help amid the chaos.
At the relief hub in Taipo's Kwanfuk estate, volunteers have been tirelessly distributing supplies, carefully dividing the area into different sections, ready-to-eat meals, clothing, and even a dedicated zone for pet essentials. Logistics platform Lala Move is providing free transport for relief supplies to charitable organizations and social service groups. Several young people who grew up in Taipo also sprang into action on the night of the Wanfo court fire, designing a real-time platform for residents to report their safety and search for missing family members. The system integrates information from neighbors' WhatsApp groups, news updates, and social platforms, providing up-to-date status reports for each unit, red for those seeking help, green for safe, and black for confirmed fatalities.
I'm trying to think, what can I do? What can I help? I found out they have many information on the WhatsApp group about their condition. Is them safe or dangerous? And I'm trying to use my skills. Even the skills is really raw. We're just trying to update and synchronize their condition to our spreadsheet. So even the residents or their families who is not even here, they can also check the condition and the status.
The platform's founders say additional features will be introduced in response to residents' needs. They have started collecting requests for legal and emotional support in order to facilitate follow-up work from social service teams. Many volunteers have been helping the victims after the deadly fire in Taipo. One group focuses on foreign domestic helpers. Mo Sky reports.
Among dozens of booths that offer free food and essential items to fire victims at this patio near Wanfo Court, this area is dedicated to foreign domestic helpers. The organizers said the priority is to reach out to affected migrant helpers.
To let the foreign domestic workers that we are here, for example, some said that they lost their passports, some left their passports, so to be able to request the consulates to waive the fee because it's not their fault that their passport got lost. So we are giving out information. We also have counseling professionals who can do that. So, but the thing that we want to do now is actually to reach out first.
China rushed to help after reading about the volunteering on social media.
Just live in the Olympic. Yeah, Olympic. But before I just came here and then I just asked my boss first. He said, okay, sure, you go, but be safe. They are also a victim. So they need also help for the government here. That's it. So not because we are only a helper or worker here.
The Consulate General of Indonesia said that 2 Indonesians died in a fire and 2 were injured as of Friday, while the Philippine Consulate General has not confirmed any fatalities among its nationals so far. One Filipino domestic helper was reportedly injured. A Mayfu resident came to Taipo to help search for missing individuals.
I'm retired. I got lots of time. Okay, so I decided to come here. I feel excited I really don't know at first, okay, There are lots of people, coming here.
Moments 9, TVB News.
A number of schools near the fire-ravaged neighborhood in Taipo remain closed. Under the weight of grief and uncertainty, Taipo schools that have resumed lessons tread carefully with exams postponed. Counselors and psychologists were brought in to steady young minds shaken by the tragedy.
This school resumed classes today after a one-day suspension. With nearby roads still sealed off, students had to walk uphill to get to campus. This student said she had to leave home half an hour early because the fire situation affected her usual bus route. The emotional toll is unmistakable, with this student saying that it's just distressing to see the buildings go up in flames with so many people hurt. She says she is making donations to support the victims. Another student who lives in the mainland says he has been unable to reach a classmate since the fire erupted. This school is just a river away from the scene of fire. Its principal says as many students witnessed the inferno, around 10 social workers and psychologists have been on standby to offer support with exams postponed. That's to give students space to recover and process. Given how the inferno displaced many residents and left the entire city emotionally shocked, psychologists warn of a slower burning psychological trauma. Ephraim Choi, president of the Hong Kong Psychological Society, says that the trauma embeds deeply. The smoke, heat, and the screaming alarms. Such constant exposure to footage and news updates can amplify the stress. The society says some 200 psychologists are available to offer free emotional support if needed. Mainland authorities have stepped in to support Hong Kong's ongoing disaster relief efforts for the Taipo blaze. They include expediting the deployment of rescue equipment and medical supplies from Guangdong province. The shipments were delivered to Hong Kong last night and again this morning, following requests from the SAR government. In a statement posted on the social media platforms, the Hong Kong Macau Affairs Office says the support was part of efforts to fully implement President Xi Jinping's instructions on disaster relief. The office also published a commentary which says the backing of Beijing and the mainland provides both encouragement and firm confidence for Hong Kong as the city confronts the crisis. The piece said the chief executive and the SAR government reacted to the incident swiftly and effectively, describing their actions as a demonstration of the sense of responsibility and resolve of Hong Kong's leader. The commentary added that the solidarity and compassion shown by different sectors of Hong Kong society reveal the city's spirit of unity and collective goodwill. Under the Greater Bay Area Emergency Response Mechanism, Guangdong and Shenzhen authorities have supplied thermal imaging drones and long-endurance drones at Hong Kong's request to beef up on-site inspection and emergency coordination efforts. Meanwhile, Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong, Zhou Ji, and Hong Kong Macau Affairs Office Deputy Director Nong Rong visited injured firefighters in hospital on Thursday. They brought with them the regards of President Xi Jinping and the central government. And still ahead, a 2-year-old girl died after influenza A infection. One of the 2 National Guard members shot near the White House has died. Welcome back. A 2-year-old girl suffering from pediatric influenza A infection died last night due to complications. The Center for Health Protection said the girl had good health in the past. This is the 3rd fatal case of pediatric influenza infection this year. Including this case, 13 severe pediatric flu cases have been recorded since the launch of this year's seasonal influenza vaccination programs in September, with only one having received the vaccination prior to the onset of illness. The CHP urged schools and parents to arrange for the students and their children to receive the vaccination promptly, as it is one of the most effective ways to prevent seasonal influenza and its complications. Overseas, one of the 2 West Virginia National Guard members shot by an Afghan national near the White House has died. President Donald Trump announced Trump described the Sarah Beckstrom as an incredible person, outstanding in every way. Nasri Karim has more.
Specialist Sarah Beckstrom enlisted in June 2023 and was assigned to the West Virginia Army National Guard. The 20-year-old had volunteered to work in the Capitol over the Thanksgiving holiday.
I must unfortunately tell you that just seconds before I went on, right now, I heard that Sarah Beckstrom of West Virginia, one of the guardsmen that we're talking about highly respected, young, magnificent person. Started service in June of 2023. Outstanding in every way. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us.
The other injured guardsman is 24-year-old Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, who Trump said was fighting for his life. The suspect charged with the shooting is 29-year-old Afghan Rahmanullah Lakanwal, who was reportedly part of the CIA-backed Zero units that provided security during the U.S. military's chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2020. Lakanwal, who has a wife and 5 children, launched an ambush-style attack using a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. He entered the U.S. in 2021 through the Biden administration's Operation Allies Welcome program that resettled thousands of Afghans who helped the Americans. His asylum was approved under Trump's regime. It's a program that Trump has criticized, echoed by U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro.
What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. This is what happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted.
Beckstrom's body was taken from a Washington, D.C. hospital to the D.C. examiner's office. Trump later threatened to take measures to reverse immigration decisions made under Joe Biden and to remove anyone who is not an asset to the United States. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said the draft peace proposals discussed by the United States and Ukraine could become the basis of future agreements to end the conflict in Ukraine. But he said Ukrainian troops must withdraw from the territories they hold. Daniel Rao tells us more.
Speaking in Kyrgyzstan after a summit with the leaders of a grouping of former Soviet republics, Russian President Vladimir Putin told reporters the discussions about ending the war in Ukraine were so far not about a draft agreement of any kind, but about sets of issues. He said in their talks in Geneva, the US and Ukraine had decided to divide up the 28 points into 4 separate components, and that a copy had been transmitted to Moscow. Putin said in general, Russia believes this could be the basis for future agreements. He added Moscow sees the US has taken Russia's position into account. Putin stressed some things still needed to be discussed and that it was complete nonsense to suggest Russia would attack other countries in Europe. He said Ukrainian troops must withdraw from the territories they hold and then the fighting will cease. If they don't leave, then Russia shall achieve this by armed means. Putin said he considered the Ukrainian leadership to be illegitimate and so it was legally impossible to sign a deal with Kyiv. He said it was therefore important to ensure any agreement was recognized by the international community, and the international community recognized Russian gains in Ukraine. He said the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia annexed from Ukraine in 2014, and the eastern Donbass region should be a topic for discussions with the US. He added US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff plans to visit Moscow early next week. Commenting on the leak of a recording of a call between top advisors to Trump and Putin, the Kremlin chief rejected the suggestion Witkoff had shown himself to be biased towards Moscow and peace talks over Ukraine, describing it as nonsense. Danaral TV News.
In Indonesia, at least 48 people died and 88 were missing during floods in North Sumatra. Rescue teams were struggling to reach affected areas in 12 cities and districts. Residents clung to trees as floodwaters inundated roads and streets as Indonesia was hit by a tropical cyclone. Rescuers were hampered by damaged bridge and roads and the lack of heavy equipment after flash floods and landslides left dozens dead and missing. Monsoon rains caused rivers to burst their banks on Tuesday. The deluge tore through mountainside villages, swept away people and submerged more than 3,200 houses and buildings. About 3,000 displaced families fled to government shelters. Floods also ravaged areas in Aceh and West Sumatra provinces. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.